You did nothing wrong. You know that. You have run the situation through your head a dozen times, checked every angle, replayed every word. And yet something in your chest still pulls. Something still whispers that maybe, somehow, it was your fault. That feeling has a name, and it is not weakness. It is one of the oldest survival systems your species ever built. Guilt is not a modern invention. It did not arrive with religion or law courts or the concept of sin. Anthropologist Christopher Boehm spent decades studying the earliest human communities and found something remarkable. In nearly every forager society he documented, guilt-like behavior existed long before any formal moral code was written down. People who acted against the group did not need to be punished from the outside. Something inside them already knew. Something inside them already felt it. That internal alarm system is you. It is the thing firing in your chest right now over something you did not even do.
Here is the deeper truth. Your brain was not built to determine objective guilt. It was built to keep you inside the group. For the vast majority of human history, being expelled from your tribe was not an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. No food, no shelter, no protection from predators. Alone meant gone. So your nervous system evolved one job above all others. Do not get kicked out. Psychologist June Price Tangney, who has spent 30 years studying shame and guilt across cultures, makes a critical distinction. Guilt says you did something bad. Shame says you are something bad. They feel similar from the inside, but they operate differently. Guilt motivates repair. It pushes you toward the person you wronged, toward apology, toward correction. It is prosocial. It is what held early communities together when there were no police, no courts, no written contracts. Just people who needed each other to survive. Your ancestors who felt guilt were more likely to fix their mistakes. They were more likely to stay in the group. They were more likely to pass on their genes. You are descended from the ones who felt it most acutely. That is not a coincidence. But here is the catch. The system is not precise. It was never designed to be. It was designed to be fast. Think about what your brain has to do in a social situation. Someone looks at you with a neutral expression and you read it as disappointment. A conversation ends abruptly and you assume you said something wrong. A friend does not text back and your mind begins constructing reasons why they might be pulling away. None of these interpretations are necessarily accurate, but your brain is not trying to be accurate. It is trying to anticipate social rejection before it happens, so you can correct course in time. Neuroscientist Jamil Zaki at Stanford calls this hypersensitivity to social signals a feature of the empathic brain. You are not paranoid. You are tuned. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it evolved to do. Scan the social environment for signs that something might be off and generate the emotional charge needed to make you act on it. The problem is that in the modern world, most of those signals are false positives. Your brain cannot tell the difference between genuine social rejection and the delayed text message. It cannot distinguish between having actually hurt someone and simply worrying that you might have. The same alarm fires either way. The same tight feeling in the chest, the same loop of replaying conversations, the same need to reach out and repair something that may not even be broken. Psychologists call this maladaptive guilt. Guilt without a transgression. Guilt generated not by something you did, but by the mere possibility that someone might be unhappy. And the ancient terror that their unhappiness could somehow mean the end of your place with them. This is especially powerful in people who grew up in unpredictable environments. Research by developmental psychologist Mary Main showed that children who attach to caregivers who respond inconsistently learn early that another person's mood must be their fault. Because if it is not their fault, then the world is simply chaotic and there is nothing they can do. Taking on guilt, even for things they did not cause, gives them something more bearable than chaos. It gives them the illusion of control. That lesson does not disappear when you become an adult. It moves underground. It runs automatically. It transforms into the adult who apologizes before they have done anything wrong, who feels responsible for a room's emotional weather, who lies awake rehearsing conversations they haven't even had yet. Now here's where it gets strange. Guilt can also be performed without being felt. Anthropologist Michael Tomasello argues that humans developed what he calls shared intentionality, the ability to understand that other people have internal mental states different from our own. This was an evolutionary leap. It meant that humans could not only cooperate, they could deceive. They could display guilt without feeling it, to avoid social punishment. They could feel guilt privately, without displaying it, to maintain a useful reputation while internally processing a mistake. Your face and your chest are running two different programs. Sometimes they match, sometimes they do not. And here is the part that matters most for you right now. The guilt you feel when you have done nothing wrong is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that your social nervous system is working exactly as designed. You feel the alarm because you care about belonging, because somewhere in the deep architecture of your brain, the fear of being cast out is still very much alive. The researchers who study this consistently find the same pattern. People with the highest levels of inappropriate guilt are often the most empathic, the most relationally attuned, the most committed to not causing harm. They are not guilty because they are bad. They are guilty because they care too much about being good. The alarm is so sensitive because the stakes, to an ancient nervous system, feel enormous. There is a question worth sitting with. When you feel that guilt settle in your chest over something you did not do, what would happen if you treated it as information rather than evidence? Not as proof that you caused harm, but as a signal that your brain believes something important is at risk. A relationship, a sense of safety, a place in the group you have built around yourself. Because that is what it is. It is not moral truth. It is a survival response wearing the costume of moral truth. June Price Tangney's research shows something hopeful. People who can distinguish between guilt about a specific action and guilt as a global verdict about their worth are more resilient, more adaptive, and form deeper relationships. The goal is not to stop feeling guilty. The goal is to hear what the guilt is actually saying, and to ask whether the threat it is responding to is real. Most of the time, it is not. Most of the time, the group is not about to expel you. The friend who went quiet is just busy. The silence at the end of the sentence was not a verdict. The person whose mood changed did not change it because of you. But your ancient nervous system does not know that. It never will. It is too old, too deep, too committed to its original mission. Tonight, when that feeling creeps back in over nothing you can name, you will know what it is. It is not a confession. It is not evidence. It is a 200,000-year-old alarm system doing the only job it was ever given, making sure you do not end up alone. And the fact that it still fires this hard, this often, over something this small, that just means you were built to belong.